Hello out there in podcast land. We're secretly a strong bad email. I wish.
That was the wonderful Ray kicking us off with podcast 33.
I'm scared and I already want my mommy.
Yeah, Nikki.
I'm not scared.
Nikki's came into this podcast a little scared.
I love Homestar Runner. I would love to see another strong bad email.
No, I'd like to see a Homestar Runner video game. I'm sure there's been enough demand for it, so...
There has been. It's called Strong Bad's Cool Game for Awesome People, and it's on Steam, and we, even though it's not a thing anymore, you should definitely check it out.
Okay.
My computer can't run Steam. Here's a donation idea. How about you all put your money in, and you all buy me a computer?
Do we have to?
Yes, I'll pull your hair if you don't.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah, I'll throw in 50 cents.
Oh. Not even $3.50?
$3.50!
Damn, that's how much I mean to you too. That's not fair.
You're worth at least $3.50.
Okay, $3.50.
Yeah. It's more than some people are worth to me.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment.
Awesome. Anyway, it's a hot June, end of June almost. We're kind of reaching into July now. July was a very fun month for anyone growing up in the 90s, and basically you lived in the United States or Canada. I think they had about the same school system, but yeah, you're kidding in the 90s. It's summer vacation, lazy days, late nights, trips to the beach, relaxation, kicking in the sand, and of course, video gaming like you've never video gamed before.
In my air-conditioned bedroom playing Mega Man X3 in the middle of 96.
That was a fun year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so as usual for the 240p Club, we decided to run down a few different topics. And we were going to do another topic, which, again, we're going to do later on. But, we wanted to research it more. We're not going to reveal the topic because, suspense.
Dun dun dun.
Yes. So, anyway, we're just hanging out. As we usually do, the 240p Club. We're watching, random stuff from the 16-bit era. And we're going, that was awesome. You know what? I think I watched, a top 10 or top 70 something Genesis or Mega Drive soundtracks. So that motivated me, and looking at all of these video game footage, I'm like, you know what, the 16-bit era was amazing. But I don't know, personally me, I'm a nostalgia guy to begin with, hence why we actually do a friggin' podcast on retro gaming. But apparently I'm not alone in those sentiments.
Wait, we had a 64-bit system at the same time, didn't we? It was called the Jaguar, and...
Did you own a Jaguar?
Yeah, I did not. I just... forgot about talking about that. I only had one awesome soundtrack, and that's about it.
To be honest with you, my Jaguar knowledge is very limited. I actually wanted one in grade school until someone talked me out of it. They're like, that's a stupid system. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the software, and aside from a really good Doom port, which I had a PC at the time, didn't really need it for this Jaguar otherwise. That controller, too. We did a whole podcast on controllers. That controller's god-awful. I think we've mentioned it with the number pads and everything, and basically it was useless. But, you know what? Yeah, we were listening to, what was that game you were listening to? Tempest?
Yeah, to be fair, that was released later for the PS1 or PlayStation at the time we called it, I believe.
Yeah,
it was called Tempest X3 on PlayStation, but yeah, it was basically this exact same game with the exact same soundtrack.
Officially, I've seen a lot of sources called the PSX. But yeah, we're talking about, back in the day, like we usually do, trying to come up with a podcast. And, I'm a nostalgic person. I know everyone here is nostalgic. That's why they participate in this podcast. So there's certain things that bring you back a ways to your childhood. There was one particular thing I get a craving for every now and again. There was this really old Chinese food restaurant here in the city, and they have been around for years. They've been around since I was a kid. I remember eating their food, and the food's still pretty good. I mean, obviously it's different chefs from 1995 for the most part. I'm sure the owner is still there, etc. However, eating that, kind of makes you nostalgic. Like, yeah, I remember eating this, playing Super Nintendo games in my bedroom sometime in 95. The air conditioner was going. I had a TV on the floor. We didn't even have chairs. I just sat on my floor and played video games. It was an extremely fun experience, and something, you eat certain foods, you basically set the tone. It's like, and Twitter, obviously our Twitter helps too, because some of the people that post on Twitter had the same thing. I was doing this, playing this particular game, so, getting that same Chinese food, booting up, instead of my SNES, I've booted up through other means, but basically on a TV, I'm playing some of these games almost the same way I did back in 1995. Obviously, I live in a different place than, my parents' bedroom, but yeah, it makes you nostalgic. So we're going to talk about today our 1995 experiences, 1991 experiences, 2001 experiences, whatever year you want to insert, no matter what your age is. You might, have 1981 experiences where you've done this at the arcade, with a bunch of friends every Friday night. Let's fire up the Wayback Machine. Let's look at some of our typical Friday nights. Nikki, we're going to start with you, because you're immediately right here.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I'm putting you right on the spot.
That's okay.
You're on the spot. You're on the clock here. Nikki,
You had no friends back then.
Oh.
He's right. Wait, I had a sibling.
Ha-ha.
Oh, right.
He was actually crazy.
He is crazy. He's just as crazy as I am.
Actually more crazy. I'd venture to say he's more crazy than you are.
He might be.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he's crazier.
she had a sibling who she decided to play video games with a lot. But yeah, we're going to go back a ways. Just fire up the Wayback Machine. Nikki, you're in the Wayback Machine. You're going to a particular time in your life. Summertime in what year? You pick a year, because I'm not going to pick your year for you.
Every summer was just about the same. But did I wear really crappy and really ugly, bright ass purple?
Neon!
Neon! Not neon. No, they were like pastel, like lilac, really ugly sweatpants. Well, not in the summer. I didn't wear them in the summer.
You know what? My parents were poor. I am proud of that fact because, it made me just work hard for a lot of shit I have. But yeah. Regardless, my parents were poor. I got a lot of hand-me-downs from my cousins who were 2 or 3 years older than me. I had a lime green neon tank top and shorts set when I was 8. This is the 80s. This is the late 80s. That wonderful time when neon was popular and goofy shit was,
What was
look back, ask your parents, kids.
What was the the big clothing that all the kids... It was Oshkosh something?
Oshkosh, yeah. Well, I was a little older.
Oshkosh
I was a little too old for that. That's up till about your 4 or 5, once you're exiting your toddler years.
I don't know anything about styles. All I know
kid.
is when I was 7 years old, I had the most kick-ass fucking Ninja Turtles sweater. And I have pictures of it. I will show you later.
I had Ninja Turtle pajamas. I had a Ninja Turtle outfit. Actually, they have pictures of me at my 9th birthday with a Ninja Turtles cake, Ninja Turtle shirt, and actually, I think I got a couple Ninja Turtle figures. I was obsessed, including the video games. I had many fun moments with the video games. But Nikki, this is your way back moment. Go way back. Go way back to, I don't know, pick a year and what were you doing on typical Friday nights?
Ordering pizza, first off.
Okay,
we got our pizza.
Why don't we start with a year?
I
Pick
can't
a year.
really think of... I don't know, maybe 1994. When I was barely over 4 feet. I was 95 pounds. Not even. I'm sorry. I was 80 pounds. No matter what I ate, I could not gain weight. Could not gain anything. Now it's a little different now.
I had that problem.
Well, yeah, I wish I had it now. Shit, I eat one morsel of food and I blow up like a fucking balloon. But,
I was a complete runt as a kid. You were probably still taller and bulkier than I was.
No, I was 90s British model thin.
I was 4 feet until I was 15 or 16.
I can't ever imagine being that thin. As soon as I turned 8 and boom! Anyway.
Puberty got you in a chokehold and didn't let go.
Yeah, I was the only girl in my elementary school who had boobs, and it was the weirdest thing. But we're not going to discuss that.
You're going to get so many creepers for mentioning that now.
You think I don't get it already? Are you kidding?
I know, but you're going to get more because, freaking video game nerds. I hate the stereotype. But come on, I mean, half of the incel crowd plays fucking video games.
Oh, God.
But,
Anyway.
Alright, we'll ignore those fucks. We're going to be talking
Anyway, it's 1994, and I didn't really have a lot of friends in my neighborhood. It was mainly just me and my brother, and I had friends at school, but we all eventually had a falling out in middle school when they decided they were cooler than me, and that is a whole completely different story, and I never saw them again afterwards, and thank God they can all go fuck themselves, because I'm hanging out with better people now. Anyway.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're awesome.
And I think I'm doing pretty...
Shut up, Ray.
Shut up, Ray. You're cooler than the people I went to school with, let's say that. Anyway.
Oh, thank you.
Yay! So it's 1994.
Now that we're done our love fest.
Yeah, exactly. I still hate both of you. So it's 1994. It's hanging out. It's a Friday night. We all decide to go to the local video store and rent some games. I forget which one we went. But me, my brother, and my dad, we had already played most of the games that we already had.
Now, did you have like a corner store type video store like that had games, or did you go to one of those like big chains?
Big chains like Blockbuster.
Yeah.
We went to, yeah. What was the one game that we used to play all the time? Top Gear. We played the shit out of that game. It would be Friday night, we would order the pizza, we would sit in front of the TV on the floor, paper plates right on our lap, and
this podcast is making me really hungry for pizza now.
Well, the pizza place isn't open yet.
I know. Our usual... Alright, we're going off first tangent of the night.
Are you kidding? We've already gone through 7.
I'm sorry. I wasn't keeping track.
Who cares? Go ahead, tell me.
Okay, our usual pizzeria. If you've followed us for a long period of time and saw the Mega Man for Mega Pause event last year, we decided to pause it right in the middle and eat pizza. Pizzeria has been in business for a while. That will figure into one of my stories later. However, they closed for remodeling. They've been closed for 2 months, and I don't think they're going to be open for another 2 months. I want my pizza.
But
anyway,
now you have to go to Papa John's.
What's gonna happen?
No!
What's gonna happen during our next charity stream?
I would never subject that to anyone.
We'll have to go down 3 more blocks to another pizzeria, which honestly is just as good. I can't really fault them. It's just, it was so convenient. I have a pizzeria on my corner, and it makes halfway decent pizza. It's not one of those shitty chain pizzas. They're decent. The people that owned it were actually from Italy. They know what the fuck they're doing. It's, they closed.
And here's a message to Pizza Hut. Stop fucking up my pizza. First off, it was undercooked.
Pizza Hut. Fuck Pizza Hut.
I know, it was a special
Well, that's what you get. You're ordering from, chain pizzerias.
I don't have any pizzerias near me.
Domino's has never disappointed me. Pizza Hut has time after time.
Exactly. So stop fucking up my pizza.
Disclaimer,
Anyway.
the 240p Club does not endorse Domino's over Papa John's or Pizza Hut.
We do have the game Yo-Noi for NES. It's a very good game. You should play it.
Okay.
Anyway. So, it's 1994. We have our pizza. I don't know where we ordered. We must have ordered it from some local place.
Sure.
Well, it's not there anymore now. I think it's a Chinese restaurant now. But,
Maybe they still make pizza. You never know.
That's true. They could.
I've seen weirder things. I've seen in Chinese/Mexican restaurants.
That
Somewhere in New
sounds
York.
awesome.
It actually was pretty good.
That sounds really cool.
I think we ordered it once or twice. It's pretty good, and it was halal, so they didn't serve any pork products. So it was beef, and which honestly, religion, whatever, don't care. But I did like halal food. It was pretty good.
Yeah, we have a lot of halal trucks on campus. It's really so. We rented Top Gear, and that was when we wanted to do a trial run of that because we wanted to see how we all liked it, and we ended up really enjoying it. We would race each other, we would beat each other. When I beat my dad, I would kind of jump around, yay, I was happy. And then when he beat me, he would point and laugh at me haha, you lost to your dad or whatever.
You had an interesting childhood.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then so we ended up buying the game. We really enjoyed that one. me and my brother, we used to play Joe and Mac. I remember a story about that one.
I always wanted Joe and Mac back then. I'm jealous.
It was such a fun game. It was one of those games that my mom got us because we had like really good grades. Like, yay, you got the report card game.
Those are the best games.
Yes, we came home from school and she's like, your report cards came in the mail. And it's not where, like, when you get older, you dread when those things come in the mail. But I knew I was, like, one of the smartest kids in school, and which is one reason why I got teased.
Going back to Mega Man X3, that was one of my report card games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically enough, Mega Man 3 was one of my report card games.
Old man alert!
Yep.
So yeah, like we would come home from school and then Mom said, hey, I got a surprise for you. Go upstairs and go look in my drawer. So we went upstairs, pulled her drawer open, and there was Joe and Mac. So I said, what the hell is this game? I've never seen this, I've never heard of it. And she's like, well, I asked the cashier guy, or what I guess the game advisor, and what's a good 2-player game, and he pointed this one out. So we said, okay. We put the game in, and we had a lot of fun with it.
I seen you stream it. It was actually pretty...
It's hard as shit, though.
It was.
Holy crap.
I've only played it like once or twice.
I remember we beat it, me and my brother. But
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the exact same story a salesman gave one of my cousins when they got me Kung Fu Heroes one year for Christmas. I never played it 2 players, but it's interesting.
It's hard. We used to fight over who would beat the enemy first, like who would beat the main boss first and get kissed by the cave girl first. I'm like, wait, I want that cave girl to kiss me. And then for whatever reason, when I came back to playing it now, I'm like, I always thought that when the cave girls kiss you, they give you like an extra heart, they give you an extra life at the end of the stage. Nah, they give you nothing. All they give you is false hope that girls actually like me.
One day you'll find the one, don't worry.
I ain't looking.
Yeah.
That's the best time to find a guy, when you're not looking.
Exactly. Or a girl, it happens.
If that's what you're into.
Happens like that.
Yeah. People come into your life for a reason.
But anyway, let's, we're not the 240p Club relationship advice podcast.
No, do not come to me for relationship advice.
Especially not me. I've never been in a relationship.
I wish I never was.
Oh, no.
I'm very happy being by myself and fantasizing over video game character men.
Oh my god.
Oh, come on. That's the whole idea of Tuxedo Mask. He was designed to be the perfect man.
Okay, Nikki, I'm taking away the controls of the Wayback Machine from you now.
Please, going back and now looking at Tuxedo Mask, he's such a bitch. I don't know why the hell Sailor Moon was interested in him.
She was 14. It was probably the first
He
guy...
was 21!
I know, it's creepy, ain't it?
Yeah,
He's probably the first man she's ever seen in her life, past puberty, like,
In Japan, it's probably not that creepy. Age of consent is much lower, but yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I mean, she was 14, he was 21, he was sneaking in her bedroom, too.
That's a little,
He kissed her when she was, like, passed out drunk at some ball or something, some masquerade party. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, you look like the girl in my dreams. I'm like, whoa! Okay. This is
usually in the United States, if you get that pickup line, a restraining order usually follows.
Yeah. Especially when you're the most powerful girl in the universe. Like, my god, you could have your pick of any man in the entire world, and you pick that guy.
Okay. Ray, I'm giving you controls of the Wayback Machine.
Yes, yes.
Why don't we always... I want to hear about Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon. And...
Mention about Tuxedo. You know what? After Tuxedo Mask, the guy I wanted to marry in video games was Ken from Street Fighter.
But he already had Eliza.
Yeah, he had Eliza.
So, okay, Ray, you got the Wayback Machine. Take us to a non-Sailor Moon year.
Hey, since we're talking about like Sailor Moon and 90s cartoons, does anyone actually remember the Mutant League cartoon from the 90s?
I did not, actually.
Well, okay. To be fair, I've never actually played the game. Have you guys?
Yeah, Mutant League football is amazing. Mutant League hockey is fun, too. It was just weird, though. Like, it was made by Electronic Arts, yet It didn't really play as much like NHL 94 or Madden 94, obviously because they added the mutant aspect to it, and basically you could kill the ref on a play and mutilate your opponents, etc. And the hockey, but I'm talking mainly about the engine. It didn't really play the same. It was good though.
From what I understand, the main protagonist in every one of those games was called Bones Jackson. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, it was obviously based off Bo Jackson.
Yeah, in the cartoon, his name was Bones Justice. He had some green sidekick named Slick. They played like every sport you can imagine, like baseball, basketball, football, and all that.
I'm just going to throw this out there, actually. There was a cartoon back in the early 90s called Pro Stars. Mm-hmm. It basically is Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and I want to say it was Jordan. I'm not sure about that.
The difference between Pro Stars and Mutant League I want to throw out there is Mutant League was actually pretty gory for its time. They got away with it because it was like mutant blood. Like they would rip limbs off and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty brutal.
There's a lot more they could get away with back in the day. I'm just saying, like with Pro Stars though, that's probably the reason why they weren't able to use Bones Jackson. Because Bo Jackson and his personality to a cartoon, I don't think it was voiced by him. Although they did have that live action, intros with Gretzky actually in it, and Bo, and I think Jordan. Yeah, that's the reason why Bones Jackson wasn't in it.
I think I remember Pro Stars was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and who was the other guy?
I'm sure it was Jordan.
Michael Jordan? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was either Jordan or Magic Johnson. It was one of the two.
Wasn't Karl Malone?
That having been said, I would not recommend watching Mutant League nowadays because it has the most annoying fucking announcer with the most nasally, high-pitched voice you could think of.
Oh, behind the scenes gal. Who is it? Who's the third pro star?
Michael Jordan.
It was Michael Jordan.
Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
Yay. I'm sure the announcer isn't any worse than hockey on NBC.
Or oh god, we're going off on that.
I believe this is what he sounded like on the actual show.
So basically, he was a combination of Simon Belmont from Captain N and Toad from Super Mario 3, the cartoon.
Or maybe my voice is more nasally than it sounds in my head.
No, I got the message there.
Yeah, we got it.
We got it, dude. So anyway, if you're bored on YouTube, it might possibly be on YouTube, whatever. But Ray, you're 94. You're watching the Mutant League cartoon on a Saturday. It was a Saturday morning.
This was like early weekday mornings before I went to school in '96.
Alright, it's 1996. You took the Wayback Machine in 1996. We're going to fast forward it a few months to June, very end of June 1996. Ray, what were you doing on a typical night in June 1996?
Like I said, I was probably playing Mega Man X3 because that's about the time I got it. Or like outside playing basketball with my next door neighbor because they had like a hoop, like backyard driveway.
Just to clarify, you lived in the burbs by then, or were you still in?
I was still in Northeast Philly.
Okay. Yeah, you basically played a lot of basketball in the driveway, and you played Mega Man X3. What else did you do, man? What was your typical childhood like there, man?
I don't know. Order ice. I went to Hershey Park once with one of my female friends back in the day.
Oh, that was always fun. Mm-hmm. Never actually been there.
96. I'm thinking.
Really not that great.
96. I didn't really travel that far until I was in my 20s.
Did you do the shore?
Yeah, back before I turned 10, I did Seattle City. My aunt's mother lived there, so that was pretty fun at the time.
That's cool. I don't know. The summertime for me was about the same. Not to hijack Ray's Wayback Machine, but speaking of
it's okay,
vacation.
Mine's not that interesting.
Yeah, well, speaking of vacation spots like that, part of the summer vacation, you did do a vacation for the most part. My parents did a week every now and again at one of the shore towns around here, and we obviously the shore towns had a bunch of arcades. I think I've mentioned some of that in past podcasts, but shore towns, etc. We used to go to arcades and throw in like at least $5 to $10 a night in various arcade machines, skee ball, casino games, quote unquote. That instead of winning cash, you won tokens and tickets, and you were able to claim them for goofy stuff, goofy prizes and stuff. But yeah, no, that was a typical June or July, sometimes August we went, there, 1996.
I had this arcade near me called Champions. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I've not, man.
This was like in Northeast Philly, and apparently my parents didn't want me going there that much because there was a hangout for gangs or something.
Yeah. 96, there was a arcade / laser tag place. I completely forget the name of it, to be honest with you.
We had Qzar over.
That was it. It was Qzar.
Oh, it was Qzar?
That was it.
Okay, yeah, because we had Qzar in my area too.
But we went there, and basically on a weekday afternoon, whatever. We all went there during the summertime. Like, you get a bunch of friends from school, that honestly I didn't hang out with that much, except in school. So that was like a cool, rare, oh yeah, we're seeing you guys in July, way before school starts. So we went to the laser tag, and apparently while we were in the laser tag place, there's a giant gang fight in the arcade area. So, as soon as I got out there, my dad, who was just hanging out, was like, we gotta get out of here right now.
Having a pretty shallow view of what gang fights were back when I was a kid. Does this involve actual guns or
no?
Just fist fights.
No, this was just a giant fist fight. It was like a 10-on-10 fist fight. This particular gang fight just happened to be one corner fighting another corner, fists, and maybe like a bottle or two here and there, being used. Otherwise, it wasn't like carry out and stretcher. They fought, they ran out of the place before the cops got there, and we hightailed it as well because, I don't think my dad honestly wanted to give a statement.
I also heard stories about like pedophiles who would offer like a bunch of tickets and then like grab your arm and run away with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just my mom doing that or whatever.
No, that's true. I heard those stories as well. My mom was pretty overprotective.
I almost fell bait to one of those, I think. But then I remembered the story, and I was like, no thanks, and ran off.
I guess I was really lucky to have a twin brother who kind of hovered over my shoulder to make sure that, like...
Yeah, I've seen goofy shit, but I've never really, gotten anywhere close. I guess this is my youthful, blissful ignorance, If I see something like that, la la la, I'm walking the other way, not paying attention.
I think I kind of had the same mentality as I do now with, with stuff like that. Like, if I saw someone who was trying to lead me somewhere, I would know not to go. 'Cause I don't know, I guess I must have had, a more mature mind than a lot of my peers, so I kind of knew...
And there's just, certain street smarts you get after a while,
Yeah, I definitely had street smarts.
Yes.
From the time I was, 6.
I mean, I did, and I learned it all, crash course in my 20s, so... Mm-hmm. I was a naive kid, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, I'm taking control of the Wayback Machine now.
All yours?
I took control of it.
It's all yours.
You've had control of it for a while. I don't have much one.
Yeah, but I didn't go anywhere. I just, added on. Yeah, we went to Qzar back in 1995.
Dude, I'm killed to go to Qzar again. Oh, my God.
That was a fun time.
They do have a laser tag place up past Park.
Champions was fun too. They had a big screen Super Street Fighter machine the last time I went, 94.
Oh, this would be fun.
That game so
I'm
much.
sure it doesn't exist anymore, but it was fun.
I remember the big screen Super Street Fighter 2 machine. Yeah.
We had a podcast, I remember actually, Nikki, me and you, talking about an arcade called Xilorama that your dad helped build. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, basically we extended an entire podcast based on that. I had a party there back in 1994, and it was right around when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, so I remember, waiting in line to play it. The winner stayed on. The guy was really good, and he kind of felt bad for me, so he was helping me with some of the moves, but at the same time, it's I know I'm going to get my ass kicked, but I just want to play Mortal Kombat 2 because it's the hottest arcade machine,
That's how the fighting game community works.
Exactly. Anyway, I'm taking the Wayback Machine back to 1995.
Isn't that forward?
Well, forward from where you are. No, you were 96, so I'm actually taking
You were just
it back.
talking about 94.
Was it?
Right?
Okay, yeah.
You were in 1996.
You were in
I was in 1994.
Yeah, she was 94. You went to 96. I'm going somewhere in the middle. I'm going 95. Okay, I was like a 12-year-old in 1995. My typical Friday night, like after school was done, whatever. I was completely done with it. It's right before, that era where I had a job. I was too young. Obviously, 12. Who's going to hire a 12-year-old to do anything except like a paper route? So, anyway, I was 12 years old, Friday night. My parents would probably have taken me to the local Blockbuster and had me pick out a game. So I would go crazy, like in the aisles. I think the most times I ever rented a game was Super Metroid, tied with Final Fantasy 3, aka 6.
For me, it was Breath of Fire 2. I rented that game a lot before I found a copy to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me it was Super Street Fighter 2 and Nobunaga's Ambition.
Second place for me was Kirby Superstar.
I don't know why the hell I was 7 years old playing Nobunaga's Ambition, but...
Well, that kind of spurred your interest in Japanese men, I'd say.
It did, but that game is not really for 7-year-olds. It's very hard to get the strategy going.
I was playing Phantasy Star to like 7, 8 years old, and it almost turned me off of the RPG genre for good until I ran into Final Fantasy 6, which actually, funny thing, I wrote a review for Final Fantasy 6, which will be up shortly on our website, 240pclub.com.
His favorite game of all time.
Yeah, my first RPG was Final Fantasy 1, and because of the grinding you have to do early on, it turned me off as a kid. Like, seriously.
That was the same thing with Phantasy Star 2 for me.
Then I played Breath of Fire 1 years later, and that kind of...
brought you back.
It came in order of, like, Breath of Fire 1, Earthbound, Breath of Fire 2, and then eventually I got it back around to playing Final Fantasy 6. And I was like, yeah, I like RPGs now. Yeah,
after playing 6, like that kind of completely like blew me away. So, early 95, I am basically, I'm done with all sports activities at this point. Like, no one's playing anything. So I'm sitting in my home. It's Friday night. It's raining, ordered that Chinese food, that famous Chinese food I was talking about is still around. So I remember eating wontons and some shrimp fried rice while holding the controller. Basically, I had a TV tray. I brought my dinner upstairs to my room, hooked up to the Super NES, put in Final Fantasy VI, and basically got so engrossed in the storyline, nothing else mattered at that point. I had the food right in front of me. I would take, meal breaks as the storyline was unfolding, but... yeah, that was my typical Friday night. Also, you have Super Metroid. That was the other game I used to rent a whole lot in 1995. But yeah, basically, it was pleasant memories going to Blockbuster, renting one of those two games or another fun game, whatever else was out and available. And just being a kid, basically, just having so much fun playing these games, being a kid, having amazing time. Even if I was by myself, I wasn't hanging out with friends on a Friday night, I was by myself at 12, and yeah, it's therapeutic thinking about this stuff, because that was like one of the happier times in my life, playing some of these games.
It definitely was happy, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm giving you the Wayback Machine again, Nikki. Where else do you want to go?
Oh god, I got a funny story.
Go for it.
So, we're having like a dinner party at my house. Like,
set the mood. What year?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Maybe it was 95.
Okay.
Or so. It was during summer, so I didn't have to have class or homework or any of that. And it was a dinner party. My brother's godparents were over. I think my aunt and uncle were over too. Some other family friends were there. And my dad decides he's bored out of his mind because whatever they're talking about, they're gossiping. That was the big thing about, like, Greek people in the area where I lived. It was just gossip city. And I decided I'm bored out of this. Yeah. So my dad decides he's bored too. So him and I just kind of look at each other. We're like, okay. He leaves the room, goes over to the TV. We had two TVs. Like, one was like the main TV, and the other TV was the video game TV.
Nice.
And the video game TV wasn't really great quality, but it didn't matter. So he pulls out the Super Nintendo. The three of us, me, my brother, and my dad, just sit in front of the TV and start playing Pilot Wings. They're all talking and gossiping, doing whatever in the the dining room, which is like the next room over from the living room.
Alright, set the mood. There's no wall separating them.
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
You had the dining room, people talking, and then like a little space in, you had the living room with the TV set up.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're just sitting there in front of the TV, just playing Pilot Wings, and we decided to purposely crash the plane all the time. Just to see how much damage you could possibly do.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And I just remember the three of us are sitting there playing, and my brother's godparents are like, "What's going on? Why are you just sitting here playing video games like a child?" And my dad's like, just takes one look, and then crashes the plane again. He gives no fucks whatsoever. He's like, "Don't call me a child. I'm crashing this plane."
That sounded about right for Pilot Wings, yeah.
Well, look, now, we used to,
No experience with Super NES, but playing with 64.
Yeah, we used to crash the plane on purpose. Now I couldn't even fly the damn thing if I tried. I'm good at the rocket belt. That's probably about it.
This is something we do have to capture on Twitch sometime.
Oh my god, this is going to be like a fucking bloopers, a complete bloopers.
I am grabbing the Wayback Machine and going back a bit as well.
There you go.
I'm going to go to 1992. One of the fun parts about the early 90s was everything. Let's just put it out there. I love the 90s. The 90s was a blast. I was about 9. We'll say I'm about 9, 10 years old. Alright, 92's weekend. My cousins decide to come down. All my cousins are older than me. My one cousin is about 3, 4 years older than me. The other one's about 7 years older than me. So, they have age on me. So, we're they're coming down. And my Nintendo is hooked up in my living room. Much to the chagrin of my parents, who want to actually use the TV for something other than watching me play video games. But anyway, cousins are over. My brother-in-law comes. Well, he's now my brother-in-law, but he used to be my sister's boyfriend back in the day. So he comes over. He's a lot older than me as well. So, long story short, we're all there. One of the games that is probably featured was NES Baseball Stars, which is one of the most fun baseball simulators ever, and something I am definitely breaking out eventually. So, yeah, this is 92. We're going to a wrestling event, at the stadium down here. So as soon as we leave, we're having so much fun. The camera's out, so I do have pictures of this night somewhere. But we're all playing video games, basically, taking turns. Someone loses. Like, the two players that are playing, are sitting in front of my TV. The other two were sitting on the couch being goofy, cheering, my cousins on, etc., my brother-in-law on. And yeah, this is what Nintendo's, I think, thinking when they introduced the NES to the United States. Basically, a group of people around the TV, basically like a party-like atmosphere, only except, it's only a few people there. It's only my two cousins, my brother-in-law, me. My sister's off somewhere. My parents are, off somewhere. So it's just us. We basically played most of the nights. Like, we played till about 2 in the morning, which was late for me back then, because as a 9-year-old, I didn't really stay up past like 1 o'clock, even though in the summertime. So this is weird, staying up till 2. We just played video games all night until we all crashed out. So it's nights like that. It's just like, that's what makes retro gaming. Like, you look at some of these games, you go back to that moment. Like, yes, that was so much fun.
I remember my first video game all-nighter.
Oh no.
Actually, this was during winter break, not summer, but because I got Ocarina of Time for Christmas, and
That'll do it.
Yeah, me, my brother, and my dad, we played that thing all the time. We were up all night, and by the time my winter break was over, we beat it, and I was the only person in school who had beat the game. So I had like a line of people who wanted to find out, how do you beat this boss? How do you beat that boss? It's
Isn't that fun? Like, I was never a popular
great.
kid in school, but yet, once they figured out I've beaten the game, it's like, how did you do that?
And now that I think about it, I should have charged for this.
I binged most of Metal Gear Solid, like my first playthrough, like during a weeknight, I think, and that was the first time I stayed up all night playing a game.
So I got a funny story. My parents had a strict bedtime for me. So, this is maybe 93. We'll go to 93. parents finally getting sick of me playing Nintendo on their living room TV banished me to the basement where I had a smaller TV, but I had it to myself. And you know what? The basement was my sanctuary when I was a kid. You know, I was like 10 or 11. I had all my action figures down there. Yeah, I don't care. At 11 years old, I was still playing with action figures. Why? Because I had an active imagination.
I still play with action figures. I don't care.
Is it weird that when I first had like Atari 2600 at age 4 or 5, I played on like a TV with distorted sound, and like years later, I would wish I was playing NES games on the same TV with distorted sound.
No, really, that's not weird. My first TV for my Atari was actually, it broke, so it was all in black and white. You know, the color broke for some reason. I don't know. I wasn't a technical whiz back at age 4.
You sure you didn't have it on the black and white switch?
No, I don't think the color worked. I don't know. I wasn't able to figure it out. But you know what? That's my pitfall memory. I don't remember it colorized. I remember it in black and white. But that's just me. But we're taking the Wayback Machine. You know, I had a strict curfew. You know, school nights. I was down there till 11. You know, which broke my curfew. But my parents were like, "Yeah, you know, as a kid, 10 more minutes, 10, 15 more minutes." I was playing Ninja Gaiden 2.
Oh, good lord!
I don't know how I did this because I was playing this till from about 6 o'clock at evening time, right after dinner. I went down there. I didn't have homework. I did my homework when I got home. Finished it. I sat in front of this TV with this controller in hand and played this till I reached the second to last level. My parents went down, physically turned the Nintendo off, and was like, "You're going to bed right now." I remember crying like crazy, but you know what? I played it again on a weekend and finally beat it.
Awesome. I'll give you a
but that kind of
golf clap.
Thank you. That motivated me, so that was good. But
I honestly couldn't do that.
Dude, you get actual claps from me because that is fucking hardcore.
Dude,
Yeah.
I played that game for 6 fucking hours to beat it. This is why you'll never see me stream it, because it will take approximately 6, maybe 7 hours to beat. To be fair, I did it a bunch of times with a Game Genie before I attempted it legit. So, you know, obviously I've seen...
That is par for the course when you're a kid.
Yeah. I hooked up Game Genie, Infinity Health, blah, 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 Infinity Lives. I would just play through, you know, over and over again until I finally got the hang of it. Then it's like, you know what, I'm going to try this legit.
Anyone who was like 6 years old and claims you played Legend of Zelda back then and without a guide, you are a liar.
I did not play with a guide, but I never beat it.
The point was, like, it was made for the Japanese. Like, they were a lot closer bunch together there, and they would like exchange hits with one another.
I believe we talked about this podcast too. Actually, we were talking about Zelda's Legend of Zelda's birthday,
and it's sort of predecessor by Namco Tower of Draga, I think. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, we mentioned that. The reason I'm being is because I listened to a couple of these old podcasts, like when we were remastering them for YouTube. So yeah, we definitely chatted about all this, which is awesome because, you know, we're bringing it full circle and chatting about our personal experiences with some of these.
Seriously, though, if you were doing this solo and without any guides whatsoever, how would you know to burn a certain bush in order to find a secret passage?
There was no way, honestly, unless you started like doing what I did and burned almost every bush possible in order to find certain things.
And kids just don't have that patience.
No, I really didn't. There was actually... I'm going to step away from the Wayback Machine and use the memory machine. Yay, that's in my head. So there was an author by the name of Jeff Robin who was highly uninteresting. I can't tell you what else he wrote, but he was famous for, he wrote a bunch of paperback books called How to Win in Nintendo Games, which, if you were a kid around, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, you had these book fairs in class. Like, you know, sometimes they would hand out like these look like these recycled pieces of paper, and it would have like basically two. I think it was two separate book clubs. In my school it was anyway, and it's like every 2 months, every 3 months maybe they held this where you would order a book, order 2 books, you take it home, you get it on a Friday, you would take it back in Monday to order your books. I remember ordering a couple strategy guides from that. By Consumer Guides, it was basically some of the stupidest strategy guides ever, because it didn't really tell you how to beat games so much. It tells you how to beat like maybe the first 2 levels, but it never really got deep into beating some of these games. When I got this book was paperback, had no pictures whatsoever, but it was by far, unless you had an issue of Nintendo Power, this was by far the most informative way to figure out how to beat some of these games. And book number 4, he put a whole series of these out. I had a few of them here and there. I want to track down more because I like collecting these sort of things. But he put out book number 4. Book number 4 featured complete walkthroughs for Final Fantasy, for Zelda 2, and the first Legend of Zelda. And basically, he told you to make a grid with some graph paper, and where A through H, 1 through 9, something like that, and it gave you the location of just about everything, including like enemies. Basically you fight these enemies on this screen to get the most rupees, etc., etc., etc. And that finally is how I've beaten the Legend of Zelda first quest. Second quest I did not conquer till I was in my late 20s and playing it, on an emulator. Sad to say, I have the real game, but I was playing it on an emulator at the time. And I finally figured out the second quest. So, I'm eternally thankful for books like that, because those were the walkthroughs back in the day. I couldn't just go on GameFAQs and look up the game, unfortunately.
Or
had
the
to do it that
first issue of Nintendo Power, which is how I figured that out as a kid.
Oh, yeah. No, that Nintendo Power was awesome like that, but your parents weren't buying you every issue of Nintendo Power, unfortunately, unless you really, really begged them, or you happen to be rich, in which case, we're not talking right now. Because I don't share that experience with you.
Or if you were real sneaky and took it from your cousin when he wasn't looking.
Oh, Are we talking about someone in this particular room?
Mm-mm. I'm not related to any of you.
Or maybe
You're Italian.
Or maybe...
No, I didn't say related. Cousins. I said... Are we talking about anyone who's still... Never mind.
Or maybe...
You turned that against me somehow, and I can't figure out how.
I was practically turning myself in. I'm the one who stole from my cousin.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, so are we talking about anyone in this particular room? And you're like, no, we're not even related. I'm like, what?
How long did they keep that first issue print? I'm genuinely curious now.
Well, that's something we have to look up on Wikipedia, YouTube, something or other. I know it's out for a while. Nintendo Power was published bi-monthly for a while, so that was out a bit.
I remember the Star Fox comics in them. Those were cool.
I remember the Legend of Zelda comics as well.
I remember the Zelda comic. Mm-hmm.
And everybody remembers the Super Mario World comics because there's a whole series on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, because I never had Nintendo Power back in the day. Your friends had Nintendo Power, and you looked up certain games over there. But fortunately, I never had.
There
Nintendo
was also
Power.
There was also a Super Metroid comic, I think, and Mother Brain actually talked.
Well, I think they were going by Captain N, which Mother Brain was the antagonist. But
this actually kind of had a big spoiler about Mother Brain's true nature in Super Metroid, which, if you've never played it, I won't spoil.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, be nice.
Right, Ray, we haven't heard from you in a while as far as the Wayback Machine, so I'm handing you the controls. What year are we going to?
I'm thinking maybe 92, the first time I played Ninja Turtles Arcade. Yeah, maybe that's not the best choice.
Why is that not the best choice, man? Ninja Turtles Arcade ate plenty of my quarters.
Oh, yeah.
I think I played the actual Ninja Turtles arcade game once as a kid, and that was in this place called WoW at the time. Was infamous as a place for gang hangouts later on.
Okay, so what year are we going to then?
93, I ended up at Chuck E. Cheese and played Ninja Turtles in Time in the arcade for the first time.
No, tell that story.
Alright, yeah, we'll go to
Chuck E. Cheese was
1993. We'll go to Chuck E. Cheese, 1993.
There's not much to tell. That's the only time I've ever seen the Turtles in Time arcade game in the wild, and the only time I've actually played that arcade cabinet. Like the local barcade near us has the original Ninja Turtles arcade game, but no place, as far as I know, has Turtles in Time.
Right now, no.
I just know. Well, I don't know if that arcade is still there anymore, but there was an arcade in Atlantic City by. I think it was if you were walking towards the old Hilton, like past Tropicana. They had a cabinet for it, but I don't know if that arcade exists anymore.
I have not been in over a decade to the shore, so I can't really comment on that. But I know the New Jersey Shore Points. As a kid, the one particular spot is a town called Ocean City. I'm talking about the New Jersey one, not the Maryland one. Ocean City, New Jersey was a dry town. It was mainly for kids. Like, there's no bars there. But one of the arcades there, they had like 6 on the boardwalk. There were some ranging in size from small to like medium sized. But, it was fun walking, and you basically hit up 6 arcades on the way to, like, certain other shops, get ice cream, etc. One of the stores one of the arcades did have an actual copy of Turtles in Time way up until my, 20s, which was the last time I was there.
Have any of you guys gone camping to a nearby place called Lancaster when you were a kid?
No, my parents have been there, not me. There
was a certain place called Sun Valley Campground, and like near this petting zoo they had there, they had like this arcade, which nowadays just has crap like Cruising USA, assuming it still exists, but back then they had like a Play Choice 10, they had
Nice.
Ghosts and Goblins. They had this game I remember called Two Tigers, which you can't even find anymore. It was like you played like a World War II era like aircraft trying to bomb like a battleship or something. That was the first time I ever played Ghosts and Goblins, I think, and I didn't make it very far, obviously, because I was young. My old dentist's office had like a bunch of weird arcade games too. Like they had Donkey Kong Jr.
Ooh.
They had the original Pac-Man, not Miss Pac-Man for once. They had this, I don't know, they had this weird wrestling game called Ring King.
King!
They had the original Star Wars arcade game, Vector. Like,
oh, the sit-down one?
Yeah, they had the sit-down
Oh god,
one.
I remember the sit-down one.
Yes!
I think I played that at Chuck E. Cheese years ago. And then they turned into a Jurassic Park game.
The fun thing about being in a dentist's office is all these games were free play, and they also had
This
Centipede, like the original
cool.
with the trackball and all.
Oh, my dentist was not this cool.
Oh, all we had was highlights magazines.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, funny thing, I used to go to a deli that was maybe a block away. And, it's funny, like, we're talking about arcade machines in the wild here. It's like, the arcade experience growing up for us wasn't necessarily going to an arcade, although that was part of it. My arcade experiences were you go to a deli, deli had a machine or two. You go to this particular store, they had a machine somewhere set up. This particular deli had a Bad Dudes copy, and it had a copy of Miss Pac-Man. I used to play Miss Pac-Man religiously, but Bad Dudes used to eat my quarters after school. I used to go there, buy pretzel, play, and a soda. Like they had those glass bottle Pepsis, the 10-ounce ones.
You mean you didn't buy those hugs?
No, I did buy those hugs too.
Hugs.
Those things are awesome too.
What's the other one, Mondo?
Yeah, I lay maybe $1 worth a quarter, into Bad Dudes and play the hell out of that while I was eating my pretzel and drinking my Pepsi. So anyway, as you can see, we're going way back, way forth, back and forth in the Wayback Machine, probably ripping a couple holes in the space-time continuum at this point. So eventually everything is going to exist at the same time frame. We're going to be on the air talking about the Ninja Turtles game coming out for NES, because the time, paradox and et cetera, and timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, and yeah. So we're going to destroy the time machine right now via Back to the Future 3 and wind up in the present day. Present day is fun. There's goofy politics we're not going to get into, but let's put it to you this way. One of the most fun experiences I've had the past few days was actually playing a game called Blood Curse for the Nintendo Switch. It's also available for Steam, PS4, and Xbox. This is my virtual review. I'm going to write an actual review online, but this game is basically designed by some of the people that brought us the Castlevania series, and because of licensing, they didn't get the Castlevania sprites, but it is exactly like Castlevania 3, down to the point where your main characters they basically have a girl that uses a whip exactly like Trevor Belmont. You have basically an old man that's supposed to be a palette swap Sypha from Castlevania 3. And you have the vampire that turns into a bat that shoots power pellet. You see exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah, it's such a fun game. Honestly, it's designed completely old school. They have a casual option where if you want to, get hit, you don't get knocked back, etc. No one worth their salt does this. They pick the veteran, which means, exactly like Castlevania physics, you're getting knocked into pits by flying enemies, etc., etc. The game wasn't unfair. It was actually a modest challenge. It took me many lives to beat, but, after basically being at it for a while, I finally beat the original version. Now I'm playing through the Nightmare version, which was a game mode unlocked. Basically you use your characters aside from the main character to play through the game again, find like these hidden parts you couldn't get the first time around. Yeah, this is one of my highly recommended games. I don't know if the 240p Club has played that yet.
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to.
I have not yet. I've heard of it though.
I highly recommend it. Blood Curse.
And of course, if you've been watching the 240p Club Twitch channel as of lately, you've probably noticed I've been playing a little game called Final Fantasy V for a little thing called the 4-Job Fiesta, which it goes towards charity. Everybody playing this has to donate towards Child's Play. If you've played the game, you know it has a job system. It has the jobs from Final Fantasy 1 and 3 and much more, but with the Fiesta, you're locked towards a certain specific 4 jobs chosen at random, and each character has to be one of these 4 jobs.
So, are you allowed to have no job? You have one, you got Blue Mage, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I've gotten Blue Mage, Red Mage, and Ranger as of the time this podcast has come up. I've not gotten the 4th one yet.
Okay, so are you allowed to have a party of all Blue Mages, or do you have to have a party of each, or can you optionally, use basically what's known as an Onion Knight?
Once I get this 4th job, I have to have each job present in the party. I can switch them up, but they all have to be present during battle.
Okay, so I gotcha. I'm just trying to figure out some of the rules of this. And what happens if you're unable to successfully complete the game, i.e., you get stuck somewhere because, job system makes it impossible to advance?
Well, I have plenty of experience with the game, but I've pledged an additional 25 just in case I don't manage to beat the final boss.
Okay, and is it too late for people to access this, or can they join in late as long as the donations are there?
You're allowed to join in late. I'm not even sure if you have to pledge a donation, but it's much appreciated. Like I said, it all goes towards Child's Play. That's
cool. They pick their own charity, for you to donate to. It's basically Games Done Quick though that did that with a charity as well. They pick a charity every year.
Mm-hmm. So they usually go with Doctors Without Borders or Médecins Sans Frontières. I think if I'm pronouncing that right.
So I like all this. They basically, some of these retro gamers got really good, and speedrunners, etc. And they have such a following on Twitch. They're using that to pledge for good causes. I do like some of those causes they're pledging for. I know we obviously to bring it back to us, we did pause, and we're going to do pause again probably because we were currently hashing out the details for
like the puppies and the kitties.
yes, for Mega Man for Mega Paws 2. Which, obviously, you heard it here first. It's going to happen. We don't know the date yet, but we're still working on that. We don't know all the details yet, if it's going to be the same thing as last year or something different, but you will be the first ones to know about our charity stream, which we look forward to every year. Also, 240p Club is celebrating a second anniversary come next month. Something else to look forward to for us. We talked about our gaming memories, basically hanging out by ourselves sometimes. Ray in his bedroom playing Mega Man X3, me playing Final Fantasy VI in my bedroom while eating Chinese food, etc., etc. I have a specific, night in mind. Basically, I'm looking, as I'm describing it, I'm seeing it in my head. Okay, and Nikki has Joe and Mac and Top Gear and all of these games. So, we will, all of us, eventually be doing an all-day Twitch session to celebrate our birthday. That is going to happen July 22nd. Our birthday is the 21st, July 21st, which is a Saturday. Fortunately, work, etc., etc. So, we're dedicating a Sunday specifically to streaming. I have my schedule book right here, so you're hearing us turn pages, etc. Okay, July 22nd, we will be streaming for 12 straight hours, and we are requesting you can request whatever game you want, but I think I'm gonna finally bust into Final Fantasy VI for my playthrough. Ray probably should do X3, just like he did back in the day.
Or maybe I'll finally get to that Super Golden Ghosts playthrough I've been teasing for a while.
Yeah, basically it's freestyle, and Nikki's gonna play whatever she wants. It's freestyle.
Pile of Wings.
Yes.
I was just thinking about that. Maybe that's when I should do my bloopers.
Yes, I do want to see Nikki die horribly in Pilot Wings multiple times.
You know what would be the funniest thing? Is if I say, okay, this is going to be the bloopers video, but then I actually successfully...
you wind up dominating.
I end up dominating. I'm like, oh no.
Have you played 64? Pilot Wings 64?
Yeah, I've never cared for Pilot Wings after the Super Nintendo because it just became like a resort kind of game.
There was only one Pilot Wings after that, though. There was Pilot Wings and then 64.
Yeah, I didn't care for 64, honestly. I only cared for the Super Nintendo one.
I had a PlayStation, so my Nintendo 64 experiences are pretty limited. So, I'm going to stay out of this conversation and let you guys hack that one together.
Yeah, I never had a PlayStation. My first PlayStation was the PlayStation 3. And then I went back and bought a PS2 and...
Yeah, I had a PS1, I got it for Christmas one year. If I could take the Wayback Machine and describe that year, but no, I already did it in one of our Christmas podcasts.
I just got a Dreamcast recently, so...
That's alright.
I'm real happy with that.
I had the lucky coincidence to have a copy of Final Fantasy 6 or 3, as it was in the US at the time, a month before 7 came out, so yeah, I ended up with a PS1, as soon as 7 came out.
I remember, that Christmas that 7 was out. It was out for a while already, but I remember the night before I played through 6, just to get myself ready. And then 7... You know what it is? I could review 7. 7 didn't immediately blow me away like 6 did because it was different enough, but, I was just playing 7. It's not as fun as 6. But then I made my own gaming memories with 7, and,
it wasn't quite a Christmas gift for me. It was a gift for surviving a very painful and dull MRI.
Well, that's always nice, That, I get, for good report cards, got games, this, that, whatever, the occasion to get a new game until you get a job and can buy them yourself.
I just thought of something. I know exactly what game I'm playing for that 12 hours.
What game are you playing?
I'm playing Barbie Supermodel.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
and you're all going to see me scream at all the drivers in the first stage. Get off my lane! Get off my ass! Get out of my lane if you're going to go that slow!
Here's the thing with this. We're going to be playing this for most of the day, so you're going to see some rage. Definitely going to see some rage over the course. It's freestyle. We're not going to announce all the games we're going to play. We're just going to, actually randomly pick a few games here and there and be look at each other. What do you want to play? Okay.
I will play Barbie, though. I promise you that.
You might see a Battletoads speedrun too.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ray, work on that because we'll be hacking through that.
I'll practice just to, I probably haven't rusted, but I'll de-rust just in case.
There you go. Anyway, we're going to end it for now because, gaming and, I want to drink some more and, chill and have some fun.
To sleep for work.
That too.
I'm off tomorrow for once, so yay.
All right. Well, from all of us at the 240p Club, I'm Metallic Joe.
I am the person you don't want me to be.
And I am everything you want me to be, baby.
And I'm scared.
This is your moment
Me
of
too.
zen.
I don't know what just came out of my mouth. I'm scared too.
I'm Nikki, and that's Ray.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to us today. If you want more information on the 240p Club, you want to go to our website, 240pclub.com. Also, we have facebook.com/240p Club, and we're also on twitch.tv under 240p Club.